Everybody put your hands in the air and say, holy shit. Welcome in, everybody. I am Commander Krim. Glad to have you here on this Friday evening. We made it to Friday. It's time for the weekend. It's a short week, for at least for me. I only had 4 days of work this week because I was off on Monday for President's Day. But next week will be even shorter. I work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then I'm off Thursday, Friday, and the entire week after that because we are going to enjoy some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which comes out next Thursday on the 29th, and I am looking very, very much forward to it. Hope you all are as well. Don't forget, if you watch this over on YouTube on the VOD, thank you for watching over on YouTube. I appreciate it. But it is Friday. We've been playing Remake throughout the week. We've been playing since this past week. We've been playing since last weekend. But we were taking a break today because it is Multiplay Friday. Yes, I know it was called MMO Friday before, but I'm kind of shifting that to Multiplay Friday because maybe it would, in case I decide to play something on Friday with somebody, if I decide to play something with somebody, Friday would probably be the best day to do it, and it may not always be an MMO, so Multiplay Friday, whether I'm playing a game that has multiplayers in it, because it's an MMO, or I'm playing with somebody multiplayer. See, it's called alliteration, it's called wordplay, it's called genius, and I am a genius. G-E-N-E-S, genius. Got you there. But yes, for Multiplay Friday, we are returning to the world of Star Wars with the Old Republic, continuing our journey as our commando. I do want to say, though, in the background, on my PS5, I am currently downloading, I was hoping to be done before the stream started, but it's apparently a lot longer than I thought. I'm downloading Phantasy Star Online 2. So it's currently installing all the extra data files and everything. So if that gets done before the end of the stream, we are going to jump off of Old Republic and go visit PSO. I played PSO 2. It's been a long time since I played it. Nothing like ridiculously long. It hasn't been 10 years. But I'm pretty sure I played it like, I want to say 2020 maybe? Maybe 2019, probably closer to 2020. I feel 2020 or 2021 is the right number. So anywhere between 3 to 4 years ago. So not like, ridiculously long time ago, but long enough that I don't remember much about it at all. But yeah, we're going to be hopefully visiting that today if it finishes installing all the files that it needs on my PS5. If not, then we'll probably do it next week. That'll be the plan for next Multiplay Friday. Which, even if we haven't finished Rebirth yet, we're still going to do Multiplay Friday because it's a nice little palate cleanser from everything that we've done throughout the week up to that point. Unless I'm just like dying to play whatever game that I've been playing. Maybe next week we get around to Friday. Maybe I'm just dying to play more Rebirth, so maybe I'll play that instead. But primarily the plan is anytime it's Friday, it's going to be Multiplay Friday. It's going to be a multiplayer game of some sort, whether I'm playing by myself in an MMO or something, or playing with somebody else. Even when the monthly, the themed month start at the beginning of March, we're still going to do Multiplay Fridays, just to keep it consistent. So next week we're going to stream early on Thursday. Might stream early on Friday. Haven't decided yet. May make that like a combo day on Friday, because again I'm off on Thursday and Friday. I might make it a combo day. Maybe play some MMO or something on Friday, and then go back into Rebirth, depending on how badly I want to play it, which I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty damn bad. But we are definitely going to be streaming early on Thursday, since I'm off. Probably going to be streaming early every day of the week that I am off, most likely, including Monday, which normally I don't stream on. Not this coming Monday, but the Monday after, the first Monday of March. Because I'm going to be off work, and, why not, right? So we'll kind of play that by ear as it goes. Sorry, I got an itchy nose. I will play that by ear as it goes, but I can definitely say for sure we're going to be streaming early every day of the week, the first full week of March. So yeah, that's what we're doing. But yeah, that's pretty much an update. Good news, bad news. I ordered a Bluetooth headset, and I ordered a new webcam for you guys to look at me with. Good news is I got my headset. It's right here next to me, charging. It's a Bluetooth headset, and I got it charging. I probably won't be able to use it tonight. I want to make sure it's fully charged before I bother trying to use it. Also, haven't taken the time to set it up yet. Plug in the Bluetooth dongle and everything to make sure it all works. So I want to make sure it's fully charged. So we're probably not going to see that tonight. Bad news. According to the website I ordered my webcam from, it got delivered today. You're asking, why is that bad news? Well, the bad news is it didn't appear at my doorstep. Apparently, I don't know. I don't know what happened. But the website says it got delivered. I checked the tracking number with the U.S. Postal Service, which is the government's government's mail company, and the tracking number says it's delivered. It was delivered at I think like 3:12 or 3:14 p.m. my time, local time. But it ain't there. It ain't here. I checked outside by my door. I checked the mailbox just in case for some reason they put it in the mailbox, even though it said delivered to my porch or front door. Either way, it wasn't there. I checked with the front office. I checked with the main office to see if maybe it got delivered to them for whatever reason, and they don't have it. So either it didn't get delivered for whatever reason, even though it said it was delivered, or I have my package swiped. I did send an email to the webcam company saying, hey, my shit didn't get delivered, but I sent that email about 4:30, I guess, and I'm not going to get an answer back probably today. It's 5:30 local time here where I am, and it's Friday, so probably not going to get an answer until like Monday or Tuesday as to what the next step is. But I was really hoping that it was going to be in today. And when I say I was hoping it was going to be in today, I was hoping I actually have it in my hand today, as apparently it got delivered. I was hoping I'd have it in my hand today because I wanted to kind of do like a surprise. I wanted to like plug it in, set it up, and everything, do all the stuff I needed to do, and then see if any of you noticed. If I looked any different, if I looked any cleaner, whatever. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be a better quality camera than what I'm using right now. But unfortunately, I can't try that with you yet. When I spoke to the office about my package missing, they said, "Yeah, unfortunately, you don't seem to be the only one that's complaining about a missing package." So apparently, there's an issue going on right now. She didn't straight up say that. She didn't straight up say that, but the fact she said a lot of people have complained about their packages not showing up. She's saying it without saying it, Apparently, we're having some problems around here now. I have a couple of theories on what it could be. We have some construction workers in the complex itself right now, trying to fix some of our sidewalk pathing, because when there's like a really heavy rain, there's some pretty huge puddles that come up. I mean, like not almost lakes. Yeah, it gets very deep and very large puddles in many areas. So they have a construction crew here that's jackhammering the pavement and going to lay new concrete down to hopefully make it even and prevent the pooling of the water, right? The puddling of the water. Well, while they're here, all of the gates that are usually locked to require a code to get in are open, wide open, and barred open, so they can pass in and out without having to need to open it every time or use a code or whatever. So that tells me two possibilities. Well, three possibilities. One possibility is the person who delivered it swiped it as soon as he laid it down, which we've seen. I've seen a number of YouTube videos about that happening. Unfortunately, I don't have like a Nest cam or a door cam or anything, doorbell cam or anything like that. I'm living in an apartment. I don't have a security camera like that, so can't prove that one. Possibly because of all the construction crew here. It could be one of the construction crew people. Possibly. I mean, I would hope not, but possible. Or just because all the gates and stuff are wide open, somebody just walked in, grabbed it, and left. Now, I mean, depending on how it was taken, I wouldn't attribute it to. I mean, I'm not. Okay, let me say it like this. I'm not counting it out, but I'm also not saying that it is the case. The reason I don't think it's a random person a random thief that just stole it off next to my door, it's kind of difficult to see and get to my front door just by strolling through the complex. I live on a second floor. I don't live like on a door that leads up to a main road or a main passageway. Even the passageway that leads to the building that I'm in is a little kind of difficult to get to. It's not just like you can just stroll right down a sidewalk and then see me and then see my apartment and grab my package. And again, I'm on a second floor, and even from ground level, you can't really see my door that easily without actually walking up the steps a few steps. So it's not exactly simple to get my package by just strolling by, sorry, I spent too long talking. The game just kicked me out. Fuck you. But so that's why I would think it's unlikely that it is just a random passerby that took it, because it would be a little inconvenient for them to do so. They would have to take the time to go up the stairs and take it from there that way, The construction crew, it's still kind of the same situation. I mean, they're walking back and forth along the path and everything, or the pathways and everything, and they're busy doing things and all that. And they could, possibly see the delivery guy delivering it, take it upstairs and set it on my door. And then as they walk away, then they go up there and grab it. Again, the same argument could be made for a random passerby. They see somebody carry a package up the stairs to my door and set it down outside my door, and then they just wait till the delivery guy is out of sight, and then swipe, be done. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just thinking like what's the most likely culprit, and I'm thinking I'm out of those three options that I said. I'm thinking it's either 2 or 3. I think it's either somebody from the construction crew, or it could be the delivery guy himself, who laid it down, scanned it as delivered, and then picked up the package and went. I just don't see it as likely being a passerby that just walked up there and snatched it. Now, do I have proof of any of this either way? No, I don't. Do I have proof it actually got delivered at all? Other than an email from the webcam site and United States Postal Service website itself? No, I have no proof. I have no proof that it was ever here at all. So it's kind of just wait and see what the webcam company says. I don't know what the next step is. I don't know if they're gonna do any kind of investigation. I don't know if they can do any kind of like uh, we contact the post office and say, hey, do you have any kind of this, that, or another? I don't know what they can do. I really don't know. Respect under the USPC though, proper troopers. What do you mean? The USPC. I don't know what you're saying there, Rosen. Thank you, by the way, for being first time chatter. I appreciate it. While I'm just going on a little rant here. But yeah, there's really little I can do. The type of okay, no biggie. There's very little I can do until the webcam company tells me whatever the next step is. I don't know if they're gonna, send me another one or what. I don't know what they're gonna do. We'll just have to see. The ball's in, as the cliche goes, the ball's in their court. So there we go. I'm really bummed out about it too. I mean, I'm glad I got my headset, but I'm really bummed out about that webcam because I really wanted to have it plugged in and ready to go and just see if any of you guys noticed as viewers. But anyway, I think I've talked enough. Let's get into the game. We're playing some more Old Republic today. Our webcam is Gucci. Oh, I know, it's good. I know it's good. It's not bad. I wanted a little bit better one. I'm kind of a perfectionist. There's things you guys probably don't notice unless I point them out. But as the person who put it together and is like, done all the editing and everything to clean it up as much as possible, I still see flaws. And with a little luck, this new camera I'm planning on getting will mitigate, if not remove, a lot of those flaws. So, again, it's nothing that you guys would notice as far as like the flaws that I refer to. The only thing that you might notice if you pay close enough attention is the camera I'm supposed to be getting is 60 FPS, where right now this camera is only at 30. It's still supposed to be a 1080p camera, but it's 1080p 60 instead of 1080p 30. So, those tend to be more true. That's why I'm just getting like a slightly upgraded version. I'm not getting anything like some like Nikon or Canon like $800, $900 camera. No. I didn't even pay $100. I'm not even close to paying $100 for this new camera. It's just a little upgrade's all it is. A little upgrade I've been wanting to do for a while. Saw another streamer using it, and it looked really good for them. So I thought, well, it was cheap enough, and I found out what he used, and I found out it is rather inexpensive. So I was like, going for it. So yeah, I think I've rambled enough. Let's get back into it, or let's get into it. We're continuing our journey with the trooper right here. There we go. There's some kind of quiche value to old school cam quality. This is true. I mean, I've been using this type of camera. This camera specifically for a very long time. I've been using this type of camera pretty much since I had the wrong screen up. Whoops. I forgot to switch back over to PC while PSO was downloading. All right, guys. Whoopsie. Boop. Boop. My bad. I just happened to look over and say, hey, that that looks like my PS5. What the fuck? I've just been using this same kind of camera for pretty much ever since I started doing a face cam back in my YouTube days. So I think it's just like kind of time for an upgrade. I've upgraded my microphone. I've upgraded my computer, obviously. I think it's just about time for one more, adjustment. All right, we are here on Coruscant, and we are about to do one of this long-ass sets of missions. Okay. Target audience. People with eyes. I'm not really that specific right now. I don't know what kind of target audience to go for. Are people that want to chat and be part of the community and so on and so forth. I mean, define target audience. It's not like I'm looking for actual demographics here. Oh yeah, I've got email. I have 6 emails. Holy shit. I know you already rescued my beloved Rio from that filthy dance hall, and for that I will be eternally grateful. But alas, further tragedy has befallen us. I put Rio on a transport back to my family on Glianslum, but my family says she never arrived. Now I've received a disturbing letter from Ria that says she left the transport at the first refueling stop and never wants to see me again. She must have been kidnapped by slavers who forced her to write me these lies. My poor, beautiful mate. Please, you must help me. I already have sent compensation. I can send more if that's what it takes. I must have Ria back. Wow. Desperate much? Okay, grab all these things. And delete. There we go. What did we get? Oh yeah, I did all this stuff from the my other account that I was playing on before. That. Is your painting like the best? Do you mean like just like in general, or do you mean like gameplay wise, or do you mean like attraction or something? I mean, that's kind of a whole bunch of different categories. But from the ones I've gotten so far, I would say as far as like hotties or like waifus, Mako is definitely like my waifu. Mako is just so cute. I just find her so attractive. Wait, hold on. Where's my pets? Let me get rid of that damn thing. Mako, get your teeth. I haven't played very long, so I don't know many of the. Where are my freaking skills? I can't remember this crap. No. P. There it is. Jeez. Can't remember my abilities off the bat. I haven't played very long, so I don't know very many of the companions. In fact, I don't know any of the companions except for the Trooper on the Republic side, because I've only played on the Sith side every time I have played, and that was the Bounty Hunter, Sith, Inquisitor, and the Marauder. So that would be obviously Mako for the Bounty Hunter. I'm blanking on the name of the Twi'lek. Vet. Vet's her name. So Vet, and then the big monster guy for the Inquisitor. Creepy as hell. So either Mako. I would say Mako number 1, Vet number 2, as far as like waifu material. As far as like gameplay wise, I really haven't noticed any difference between any of them, really. There's probably a difference with the big guy, the big muscly alien guy, because he's I'm guessing probably closer to a tank. But I've pretty much put, whether it's Vet or Mako or Shea Visla here, which is a downloadable, not downloadable, but a optional character that you can get for some reason. I forget why I have it. I always put them on healing, and they all pretty much do the same thing. So, that's it. And as far as the Trooper, the one guy I got that looks like a skinny version of Kintaro from Mortal Kombat, he's okay. Again, I think he does the same thing as any of the other companions. So as far as gameplay, I haven't really noticed anything. Yeah, Kim Val is the name of the big guy. Yeah, that's right. Well, Shea Visla, there is like a mission that you can do like way later in the story that you can supposedly do to get her, but I don't know where that is. I don't know how to do it yet because I haven't gotten that far in the story. I've literally only played this game up to like level 20 or so. So I don't know where she is like supposed to be like lore wise in the game, but from whatever reason, I have access to her early whenever I make a new character, and I can get her right off the bat. So, I don't know exactly what she does or where she is in the story. Okay, speaking of things to do in the story, I need to pick something and go do it. Strongholds. The pickup. That's up there. Those are main quests. That's up there. Pickup is here. Speak to Darren, get a low back. Senator stolen goods. Return to Senator Bark. Oh yeah, I need to return to the Bark. Jay's appealing in some rustic way, but she's somewhat of a bonehead. Mando, bravery, not very logical. I mean, she seems kind of cute too, but again, you know, she hasn't really been any different to me than any of the other companions for the most part. The one thing that I definitely dislike about this game, and it's not any particular shot at any of the companions specifically, it's just a general complaint that I have about the game. You can't shut them up. You can't shut them up. And I'm only referring to, like, in combat. Whenever you're in combat and you kill an enemy, they usually have some short comment to say. And for me, hearing the same 2 or 3 or 4 comments that they each have after almost every single person that you kill really starts grating on my ears. Really grates me. I hate that so much. Again, that's not specifically to this game. I even had that complaint about Final Fantasy VII Remake. I get annoyed sometimes when we hear, you know, Barrett or Tifa or Cloud. Well, usually not Cloud doesn't say much, but Tifa or Barrett or Eris saying the same thing after almost every other battle. It just gets on my nerves. I wish there was an option where you could just turn off the dialogue for the companion unless you're in a cutscene. Wait a minute. Where was this guy? He's up there too. Okay, well, let's go do the pickup mission since it's one way out there, and then we'll go back up here and do the others. And I am not going the right way to get there. You know what I keep forgetting? I keep forgetting that I have access to mounts now. What do these look like? Holy Jesus. There's almost no difference whatsoever between these two things. Again, you tell me something I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Well, Corey, I don't know who that is. I haven't met any. I've only met one companion on the Republic side, and only one companion for each of the bounty hunter and the 2 Sith, the warrior and the Inquisitor, on the Sith side. So I don't know all the companions, and I really missed my objective again. I feel like I'm walking in. I'm using a tiny ATST when I'm in this thing.
Vehicle pads are currently open for business.
Here? Pick up, yeah.
Have a safe and pleasant stay.
Despicable, very reasonable person. Yeah. Interesting, his name is Valkorian, which is very close to Vicarian. Considering this game was made by BioWare. How accurate his name is, almost Vicarian, aka Garrus from Mass Effect. But yeah, I was talking about Mako earlier. Yeah, that is one thing that I kind of dislike about Mako. I definitely play as an evil character, and I've found that a few times when I have Mako as my companion, she disapproves of all the things that I say. So I'm like, I guess I ain't romancing her. At least not on this character. Maybe I'll make another one another bounty hunter at some point, and then I'll be nice to her. Imagine having a good friend who went on to murder like 1 trillion people, not so much out of malice. Reasonable character? Nah. No. I do enough reasonableness in my life, in real life. This is my place to, these kind of games, the BioWare games, where I can actually have a bit of a morality system. This is where I can be my inner evil without any real repercussions.
Hello, Lieutenant. Good to see a fellow defender of the peace. I'm Officer Stenson, Republic Security. We're fighting a war against the Black Sun. I wish I could say we were winning. Word has it they're running an illegal surgery clinic, giving wanted criminals new faces. Helps them dodge arrest.
What fun is evil without context? For me, very.
I don't need to hear this. That clinic is a menace and a threat to Coruscant's stability. More and more dangerous criminals slip through our fingers every day. Unfortunately, they move shop whenever Republic security swoops in.
I look so
Maybe
bored
you
of this
could pay
conversation.
visit, smash their illegal surgery droids, pull their patient files, show them the Republic's still in charge.
Didn't I already do something like this? I feel like I already destroyed some illegal surgery droids.
I guess I could take a look.
Republic security appreciates any help.
Broken by an extra broken soul.
Destroy the Black Sun surgery droids, then download their patient files. That's all we need to pull their masks off their criminal clients.
I mean, it fits if you're playing. It's the reason I'm also doing it on this side as a trooper is because this is the Republic side. This is the good side, right? So it's it's subverting expectations by being some level of bad guy. Okay, still don't know. I'm not here. Obtain a clinic pass. Oh yeah, wait, that's not the same thing I was doing. It's a different one. Where was the... Yeah, where was this? Darrington Lowback. Oh, it's way down there. Okay, alright. I guess I'll go ahead and grab a key while I'm over here since I'm next to this mission. I can live under the thumb of the Sith.
Someone clean up this mess.
We actually had this question one time when I was streaming this game, like, what if you could be in the Star Wars universe? What would you be and what would you do? And I said I'd probably be a combination of like a Sith warrior, like really powerful Force user, very good lightsaber skills, and I would be like a mercenary of some sort. I would be like a bounty hunter, mercenary kind of thing, but I would have Jedi powers or Force powers. But I can see what you're saying about not wanting to be under the thumb of the Sith. Yeah, they are very... I wouldn't want to be under the control... I would be part of the Sith Order or the Jedi Order. Because I wouldn't want to be a part of a group like that. I'd rather just, be my own person.
Then stay down. Someone clean up this mess.
I'd be a chiss minding my business for many Force users. Force powers are lured for trouble. That much is true. That much is true. I can't argue that point. What the hell happened to this guy? It looks like he died in carbonite. It's wrong series. Carbonite, but without the carbonite. That's funny as hell. Yeah, I completely agree with that, especially the Jedi. I always found the Jedis, at least in like the prequel movies, to be like just unnecessarily like too good. Like you just can't be so morally good all the time. You've got to do a little bit of bad thing in order to make the world go round. You can't be always kind of like what you were saying a minute ago, but on the other end of the spectrum. You're saying being evil for the sake of being evil is not really, not really that exciting or enticing or compelling. But being good just for the sake of being good is not always the same either. Yeah, right. They talk about in like one of the first like episode 2 or 3, I forget which one, how they talk about connection and attachment to people is what's forbidden by the Jedi Code, because that could lead to jealousy, which leads to anger, which leads to hate. And he was like, I can't agree with that sentiment. Meaning that you can't have a family because the chance that family could end up being harmed or killed, and that would want you to become vengeful and lead you toward the path of the dark side. I can't approve that. I can't approve of that. Granted, this is coming from somebody who doesn't have a family and never will, but if I have a family or a significant other, someone that I love, and they're taken away from me, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to go, you know, haywire and completely fall to the dark side. But justice, revenge, which is sometimes the same concept, can't be set aside just because you're a Jedi. I can trust superhumanity more than tools. Well, you know, the same basic thing could be said in a different universe, of course, about like superheroes. So think of like Superman, you know, to an extent that I'm thinking more like superheroes that are like super powered. Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Superman, so on and so forth. Not like really rich people who have a lot of you know, gadgets and gadgets and stuff. Thor, Hulk, so on and so forth. Not just really talented or really, you know, lucky humans. They, you know, there is a chance that they could go berserk and they decide they want to rule the galaxy or rule the world, whatever. And even the good guys, and they could do, and they have written that into a story. That's what the entire Injustice stuff is. Again, I know we're going off on a different tangent there, but that's a thing. That's a thing that can.
Not even a challenge.
That's the thing that can happen with like super-powered people, and that's essentially what Jedi sort of are. You're a cold bastard, Krim. I know it, Eric. I know it. It would be problematic. That's true. You're right. That's true. But I mean, there is kind of a balance to everything, depending on how powerful that you get. I mean, if even the most talented, I don't say the most talented, your average Jedi Knight falls in love, and that person they fell in love with gets murdered, and they decide to fall to the dark side. You know, there are likely going to be stronger Jedi who can deal with him or her. You know, there's special exceptions that make it difficult to handle, like Anakin Skywalker, for instance. You know, he's an exception because he's extremely powerful. Not every Jedi is extremely powerful. Humans will only ever be human. Superpowers are a greater danger than they are worth. Right, exactly. That's also like on a simplistic, you know, just judgment level, if you will. I don't like Superman. I don't like Superman at all. He's too powerful. I mean, he's literally everything all the time. I mean, he's not like completely immune to being killed. He can be killed, but he has literally infinite strength. He has almost infinite speed. He's the overpowered superhero character. I've never ever liked Superman as a hero. There's so many other superheroes that I've liked, both human and superhuman, that I've liked more. Even Superman impaled the Joker after he tricked him into killing Lois. Yeah, that's what we were just talking about, Eric, involving the Injustice story. Which, by the way, I love the Injustice games. I've never seen the Injustice comic. I've only played Injustice 1 and 2, the games, and they are really good. I really love the Injustice games. But, you know, that's exactly what Injustice is all about, is a super-powered person, and specifically the most powerful in the entire DC universe, Superman, pretty much the most powerful, not literally, but turning not necessarily evil per se, but becoming a tyrant.
Someone clean up this mess.
And, you know, having an iron fist rule. And that's what Injustice is all about. Well, not all about, but mostly about it. You watched an animated comic? Yeah, he's just a bad statistic. Yeah, I mean, fortunately, for the most part, he's the only one. I know there is Supergirl, who is his cousin, but I just feel that her morality, I don't think Supergirl would ever succumb to the same level of tyranny that Superman did. Even if the circumstances were the same. Even if Supergirl fell in love with somebody and a supervillain or somebody killed or brutally murdered the person that she loved, I don't think she would turn into a tyrant. I just don't see that. I just don't see that being a thing. Okay, where the hell? Access the clinic. Oh, this thing here. Okay, I just gotta follow this dude. What's the counterpoint to simply off every force sensitive? Well, I mean, you don't really want to do that because there are Jedi that do some good. And sometimes you need very talented people to handle the normal people who are doing bad things. I mean, that can even be compared to real life for a second there. I mean, think about, like, you know, we have criminals obviously on the street all the time, and our police officers aren't just your average civilian with a badge on their chest. No, these guys go through training. Sometimes their police officers are former military. They go through extensive gun training and practice and all that other stuff. So while they're not superhuman by definition, they are definitely a different breed of person than your average Joe Schmo, most likely, who's robbing a store or committing other, crimes regardless of heinousy. Heinousy? That's made up a word.
This is too easy.
How would she create a good world without becoming a tyrant? I don't have an answer to that because my moral compass would lean more towards the way Superman did it. Because just my own personal experience of my own life, I wouldn't be able to answer how would Supergirl be able to be good and not become a tyrant. The way I picture Supergirl's character from the experience that I have with seeing her and knowing her story and stuff, I don't see her becoming that way. Again, I don't know. It's just a judgment, an assumption based on pure speculation. Excuse me. She has that whole thing where Brainiac put her city and her family into a jar. That's right. Brainiac was responsible for the destruction of Argo City, and she despises Brainiac, obviously, but she, again, I think the only thing I can say about that is, yes, Supergirl lost her family, obviously her mother, I assume her father, and almost everybody on Krypton when Brainiac attacked. But losing your parents and your siblings, yes, those are loved ones. It isn't the exact same as if somebody that you are romantically involved with dies, or is killed. That is a very different scenario. And again, I'm speaking from my own experience. I love my mom, don't get me wrong. And I would be furious if she had died because somebody killed her, right? But it still would be a different kind of anger than if I had a girlfriend or a wife and she was murdered or killed. So, yes, Supergirl easily is upset and angry at Brainiac for what he did and the essential murder of her family, her parents and stuff. But it would still be a different feeling of anger if she fell in love with somebody and they were killed. But despite that, I still don't think she would do what Kal-El did and rule Earth with an iron fist. I just don't think she would do that. A primal anger is more to a cerebral anger. You guys in the chat, you guys do that a lot. I will go into a long ramble about something, and you guys bring it down succinctly. I do appreciate you guys succinctly shortening my ramblings, so I do appreciate it. But you're absolutely right. That's a very good way to describe it. The U.S. Popo education is woefully lacking, but that's unrelated. I got you there. I can't speak for the education of America because I'm approaching 40. I'm in my late 30s. I haven't been to school. I was homeschooled from halfway through 7th grade, so I only spent 6.5 grades of school in public schools. I was homeschooled for the rest of it. So, my teaching was mostly teaching myself, and my mother and father doing all the teaching of everything that we could learn and could research and all that stuff. So it's different. I can't. What I'm saying. My point being, I can't judge the success or the success and what I can put on it of the United States school system. I just public school system. I have no experience in it. I can't say I have a kid or that I know a kid that goes to public school and their opinion on it. I've seen like news stories and stuff, and yeah, that there's things that make me question stuff, but I can't say from personal experience what I think of the public school system. Let's keep this shape this homeschooling take. Well, in my case, it was kind of a necessary evil. When I was in school, I was living in a suburb of Dallas, Texas. That's where I used to live in Dallas, Texas. I went to a school because I lived in a suburb of Dallas. Well, when I got into middle school years, closer to 7th grade, or when I got into 7th grade, right at the halfway point of the school year, okay, actually, let me back up. I'm getting ahead of the story. My parents moved, or my parents and I moved to Dallas. Actually, we lived in Dallas proper after that, or at a certain point. But I was still going to that suburb school because I already had, so much time there and all that other stuff. Well, eventually we kind of had to move me to a school that was in the district that we were living in. Because it was a kind of a far drive, we needed to save gas money, and it was not really a law, but it was really like it was frowned upon not living in the same district of the school of the school that you should go to. That's the shorthand of it. I went to a school in Dallas proper, and it was terrible. It was bad. The faculty there were bad. The principal, the school had metal detectors. Because this school was known to have stabbings and shootings at this school, so they put up metal detectors thinking that was going to do them some good. But my first day there, the principal met me when I stepped out of my parents' car. The principal met me there and guided me up to the front door, and I went in the front door. But he guided me to the girls' metal detector. So I had to leave that room, leave the room that the principal guided me to, walk 40 feet down the campus grounds and go in the boys' door. So, why you would think the principal would know, hey, this is a boy. Let's take the boy to the boys' metal detector, not take him to the girls' metal detector, and then make him have to walk 40 feet the other direction. It was just dumb. And then they examined my bag and they threw it on the floor after they examined it, breaking my $15 calculator. There was a lot of things that happened after that. The kids at the school were a little bit made me uncomfortable being around. There was a teacher who I could swear she either she had no sleep over the past 6 weeks, or she had the shit beaten out of her the night before, because she was a white lady and her eyes were pitch black. She had thick black rings all around her eyes. So it was that for a 7th grader, that was a little bit discomforting. So when I explained all that to my parents when I got home that day, we were like, well, we didn't have very few other choices. We either keep going back to that school or we try something else. And we had a friend that at the time I was playing ice hockey, and that friend was homeschooled. His sisters, his entire family was homeschooled. So at least we had a reference on how we could get started doing homeschooling. And so we decided, let's just try that. And that's how the rest of my life went. Out of academic interest as a European, well, my father was a very smart man. He was a very smart man. He was socially not exactly, the brightest, shoebox, but he was very, very smart. He knew a lot of things. Pretty much any time I had a question about anything, I could go to him and he would absolutely answer it. He was very, very smart. How did I miss this item? So he would make a good teacher. my mother, while she wasn't as smart, we kind of learned with each other. We would we went to like half price books and bought a whole bunch of school books. And at the time, the internet was relatively new, but we did have access to the internet. So we did some internet like research and stuff. We just learned what we could find: school books, internet stuff. We were curious about things. We would watch the news, and if we did like things like math, we would like say we had a math book. We would both do the questions in the math book, and then we would compare each other's answers. Like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We both got them right. Then they're all good, you know. So we were both kind of learning at the same time. So that's how my homeschooling went. And then once I got to like what would have been equivalent to like 8th grade, I started working at a job, and we figured the easiest way to help me advance further, since I really couldn't get a diploma from being homeschooled. My parents couldn't give me a diploma. They don't have that kind of authority. We found, this is kind of a backing up on the story here. We had another friend who needed to get a high school diploma for herself so she could run her own business. And she was in like her 30s or 40s, something like that. She was an older lady. So it's not like she could go to high school, right? So she found a mail order program that you could pay to get school books and lessons and tests and stuff, and you'd fill out those tests, send them back to the school. They would grade the schoolwork, and they would send you a diploma once you completed all the classes. It was a completely legitimate school. It's not like some kind of like mail order program kind of thing. You actually had to take legitimate tests. You had to legitimately prove that you were taking the lessons that were given to you. And they would send you the diploma afterwards. It was like maybe a 5-6 month program. So I kind of did the same thing. I had a little bit longer of I had more of a program because I had more I had to learn in order to get the high school diploma because of my age and what I'd already learned and stuff. She had to do it because she'd already been through high school, but she never got a diploma when she went to high school. She dropped out at like near the end of 12th grade or something. She just never got her diploma. There's a long story behind that I'd never really got. But short story being, I got a diploma through this mail order program, and that's how I have a high school diploma, and that's how I was able to graduate high school at 16. So that's long story short. I graduated at 16 because I was homeschooled. Calling it a mail order program was the easiest way to describe what it is. It actually is a high school itself. They're actually like a multi-level school. They do high school and they do college. So if I wanted to, I could actually have gone back to that school and gotten more like collegiate classes, so I could have gotten higher levels of education. Whatever they are, bachelor's, master's, whatever those things are. I don't know. I still only have a diploma. I don't care for college. But you can actually go back to that same school and they give you further levels. No, you're not trying to be contrived. You're just asking general questions, and I'm just trying to explain it the best way I can as somebody from another country. I completely understand. No harm, no insult taken, no offense taken at all. They're a legit school that you would like call them up, and obviously you'd pay them because and it wasn't cheap. And they would send you. You could choose, sort of like high school. You could choose your courses that were electives. You had your core primary classes that you had to take. Some of the obvious ones that pretty much everybody has, and then you had a few elective courses that you could take. I took electronics as one of my optionals. I think I took, I want to say something related to small engines, like lawnmower engines and stuff. I took one of those, and something related to computers. I can't remember what it was exactly, but I took like 3 different electives because those were the ones I had those were my options. Those were the ones I wanted to do. And then they would send you textbooks and school and curriculums that you had to go through and prove that you actually read all this stuff and all that other stuff. You had to take the tests on the internet, so you couldn't just like write. You could like check mark the answers off and then send them off via mail. You actually had to do them on the internet, and then they would grade your lessons, and once you graduated, they would send you an official diploma. Homeschool programs are often proctored by a university or other certified entity. Yeah, that's what it was. It was actually called at the time. At the time I did it, it was called Thompson Education. It was a university called Thompson Education. Sometime after that, because that was this was going on literally 22 years ago. Because I was 16 at the time, I'm 38 now. So, in the past 22 years, they've changed names a couple of times. I don't know what they are now, but that's what they were. They were a university, and they still are. They're just under a different name now. When it came to the mail order program stuff, the actual classes that I got, they, like I said, I had to prove that I was the one reading the books, that I was one absorbing the knowledge, that I was taking the lessons, and all that other stuff through the website, more or less. I had to prove that I had done it. Like I said, I took the tests that they actually graded that led to my score that got me graduated. My parents didn't really have to do anything other than really pay for it, because I was like 14, 15 at the time. I didn't have money. It was the proof. The burden of proof was on me. What I mean by that is, it's not like they could just send me the documents and then I could go like look it up on Google, or get a friend or get my parents, whatever, get somebody smarter than me who's already taken the classes or whatever to read the lessons or whatever and do it for me, basically. And then all I got to do is get the diploma. No, I had to prove I actually did it because they sent it to my house and I did it from home. That's what I mean. I know what you're saying about bias. That's what I'm saying is with the classes they sent me, my parents didn't really do anything as far as like doing the teaching. The lessons were all in the books. My parents didn't actually, once I started doing the mail order program thing for the diploma, I didn't have to do. They didn't have to teach me anything. All the lessons, everything that needed to be taught to me were in the books. So whatever bias was there would have been in the books nonetheless. They were, I get what you're saying, but the lessons were taught from the book, not from my parents. What we learned, what me and my mother, sometimes my father, did when we were doing the lessons together before I did the mail order program, we just had like you went to like half price books, and we got like a 7th grade science book, a 7th grade math book, whatever, and we would read them, and usually they had like questions in there to check that there would normally be these books would normally have been in real schools, therefore they had like check your knowledge questions and stuff like that, and we would go through and we'd read those questions to each other and check off and make sure we were comprehending what we were reading, and so on and so forth. So as far as like what you're referring to there, we were teaching each other, more or less, and we were teaching like facts, what the books were teaching us. There was really there wasn't anything that wasn't black and white, and there wasn't any gray areas. We weren't learning about, like, I don't know, I can't give a good example. But what we were learning were facts, not opinions on a subject. So, like, I can give an example sort of like this. We learned about religion. We were learning the religion of like a foreign country and what their religions are. We didn't try to say, okay, well, they learn this country is primarily Buddhism, but Buddhism is a fake religion. We're actually Christians, or whatever. We didn't do any of that. We just went with the facts that were in the books. We learned that if this country was a Buddhist type religion, we learned what Buddhism was and how that affects their culture and so on and so forth. That's all there was to that. In the U.S., homeschool kids are statistically better educated than those that attend public school. And that's primarily, is that more because of the poor state of the system or otherwise? I think that's because many times, especially in really huge cities, the public school system is all about pushing out kids. They get 100 kids in, they want to get all 100 kids out. And they want the curriculum. They want this much of the curriculum filled, but they get those 100 kids out the door. They don't really focus that well. They don't really break it down for the slower kids or the kids that just aren't getting it as well. And on the other side of the coin, which was kind of my case, they don't speed it up for the kids that are getting it really quickly. They've got to keep it all at basically the same speed to make sure they fill out the curriculum and they get those kids out the door. I'm not trying to fluff my own ego here, but during the latter years of my grade school years, my grades were slipping, not because I wasn't learning or because I was, my grades were slipping because I was bored. I was so far ahead that when they would teach a lesson, they would have to teach at such a slow speed that once I got it, I was ready to go on to the next step, the next lesson or whatever, and they couldn't because they had to keep it at the same speed for the rest of the kids. I would end up getting bored, and when they would finally get around to the next lesson, I would miss it. I would just miss it because I wasn't paying attention. I was bored, whatever, So that was another reason why I went to homeschooling, was because we could teach at the pace that I could learn. And, and the same is true on the other end of the scale. Like I said, for the kids that are slower, they don't really, they have tutors and they have special education classes for when I say the slower students, I'm not talking about mentally challenged kids. It just means kids that just don't learn as fast as the average or whatever. They don't really. They keep it all at the same pace, is the shorthand of it. They keep all the same speed, and one side or the other, one end of the spectrum or the other, is going to suffer. Whether it's the really smart kids or the just not quite as smart kids. They just can't do that, and that's all they care about. So much so that when they get close to the end of each year, this is back when I did school. I don't know if they do that anymore. Again, that was 22 years ago. Back when I was in grade school, when we get close to the end of the year, for the last 3 months, maybe? It was only 1 month. It seemed like a very long time. But for the last decent part of the year, of each year, we would stop all classes. We would stop learning the lessons that we were doing. And we had to start learning a formulated curriculum plan that was specifically designed for the entire state. It was called the TAAS, the Texas Assessment of Academic Skills, or the TOS test. And it was a test that was not really meant to teach the students. It was meant to be a judge. It was meant to be a judge for the quality of the school. So they stopped teaching lessons and made sure they focused on the lessons that the questions that were going to be asked on the TOS test, and make sure that you understand the formula of how the TOS test, how the test was taken, to make sure that you do it correctly, make sure you fill out the responses correctly, make sure that you, basically the entire lesson they taught at that point was how to take the test, because they want to make sure that all the students took the test correctly. That way they could get the most accurate score for their school, because that's how the school got their money. If your student body scored a very high overall rating for your school, that's how you got more money from the state. That's how the school got more money from the state. So they would stop teaching you they would stop teaching you your normal curriculum to teach you how to take a test to make sure that you took the test as accurately and best as you can, because they want to make sure that you got high scores so the school gets more money. That's what the TOS test was all about. Again, this was 22 years ago. I don't know if they still do it. I wouldn't be surprised if they stopped doing it, but I don't know if they still do it. But that's how it was when I went to school for 7.5 years. Here in Denmark, we put religion together with social studies. That's kind of what when my mother and I were learning stuff. And the same thing was in the public schools. Religion was part of the social studies thing. We were studying Zimbabwe, for instance. We would learn about the landscape, the culture, the people, and the religion as part of the lesson of what they were, the facts around Zimbabwe, not necessarily the opinion of the religion itself, whether their beliefs are this way or that way or this way or that way. That's not what it was all about. The same thing with me and my mom. When we read about a country and we read about their landscape, culture, religion, whatever, we just read the facts of the religion, of the landscape, of the culture. There were no opinions or judgments about it either way. Pitting one student next to each other. I don't think they ever did that. At least not like to the same, to like the overall level. They kind of did that with each like classroom. Like the students that did better would get put on what they called an honor roll, which is basically just like a wall of fame sort of thing. Just like they would get like notoriety, if you will, for the class. So it's like if these 10 students got A's and B's, they would get like rewarded and pointed out on the scoreboard on the chalkboard, whatever. But the rest of the kids wouldn't get on the board because they all had B's and C's and D's and F's. My mom was very good. I miss her so much. It's cruel to say, I know, but if I got a chance to choose whether it was my mom that passed in 2007 or my father, my father for sure. I wish it had been my father, not my mom. My mother had to deal with me, which I'm a pain in the ass as an adult. So you can imagine how much of a pain in the ass I was as a child. She would probably say otherwise because she was a nice lady. But, Eric can tell you, Edra Vallis, he knew my mom. She was, I miss her all the time. I'm not lying. I try to turn this into a sob fest. I miss her so much. I say this with pride. I'm not going to tear up. I say this with pride. My mother was special because she raised me with one arm. About 5 or 6 years before I was born, I think it was 1980 when it happened. Before I was born, several years before I was born, my mother lost her entire left arm to a tumor. She had a tumor in I think her upper part of her arm or something. And back in the 80s, they didn't have the same technology we have now, so they just cut her entire left arm off. So I've never known my mother with two arms. I've seen pictures of her, but I've never known her with two arms. So she raised me and took care of me with one arm. That's not easy to do in general, but especially not with one arm. Taking care of a kid's not easy to do with one arm. How come? Why would I prefer my father to my mom? My father and I, unfortunately, and as much as I don't want to admit it, we're a lot alike. I guess I can go into kind of chat mode here for a minute. We're a lot alike as far as the way we think, the way we... Just like in general, we are a lot alike. And that similarity often caused clashes between me and him. Part of it was his God complex, his Napoleon complex, and his inferiority complex. He had all three of those. as well as a few other complexes. But primarily those three. Everything that he said or did was always right, no matter what it was. And anything, and if you tried to tell him whatever it was wrong, he would argue with you until you gave up and agreed that he was right. If you held up a sheet of paper that was blue, and he told you this sheet of paper is red, he would argue with you, and he would yell at you, and he would scream at you, and he would guilt you until you agreed that that paper was red. That's the kind of person he was. He had an alpha male complex, so anytime somebody challenged his alpha maleness, I got kicked from the game because I was too idle. Anytime challenged his alpha maleness, he had to get all bowed up and mad and everything and slam on the table. He had a Napoleon complex because he was 5'3". And he didn't admit it like deliberately. He accidentally admitted to me that he had a Napoleon complex because he had said I was talking to him one time, and this was after me, him, and my girlfriend at the time had a bit of an argument with him. Well, not a bit of an argument. It was actually a pretty stout argument. He told me to relay a message to her, to apologize, but to have her understand that the reason he's that way is because he grew up and lived his life with guys everywhere making fun of him because of his size. So he had to be a bigger man, like bigger figuratively, to meet those men. That's why he's the way he is. That was his explanation. So you have to see why I don't agree with it. Measure managed to admit when he's wrong. See, that's the thing. That's part of the thing. It's part of his God complex. He's never wrong. He's never wrong. And whenever he's right about something, especially if it was something he predicted, he will never let you forget it. He had this phrase called DYRAR. His name was, oh my God, I can't believe I actually remember this. He actually would phrase, anytime he was right about something, he would always say, DYRAR. And what did that stand for? Damn, you're right again, Raymond. His name was Raymond, by the way. Damn, you're right again, Raymond. Every time he predicted something and it was right, he had to say it. He had to say that phrase every goddamn time. Based on a sense of belittling others, yeah, he definitely did that. I mean, he's the only thing that I can understand his perspective on is dealing with people that were always being an ass to you. Granted, I haven't had the same level of people being an ass to me as he did, but I get it. That if you can only be treated shitty so much that you're going to start giving shit back. So I can understand that, but he could never temper it. He could never stop and think, okay, I want to go off on this guy, and does he really deserve it? He doesn't do that. He just goes off. Absolutely goes off. And he's manipulative, extremely manipulative. He would ask you a question, expecting a specific answer. And if you did not give him that specific answer, you heard about it. And heard about it harshly, and heard about it terribly. I can give you a prime example of this. My girlfriend had a small spool of thread. We were living, at the time, she had moved in with me I was still living at my dad's house. We were still like I was in my early 20s, so I hadn't moved out yet. So she was living with me, living with me and my dad. She had this spool of black thread that I don't remember where she got it, but she had it. And my father and his girlfriend, whoever she was supposed to be, there was another woman that would visit him every now and then. But she needed that black thread. She needed some black thread for something. And he knew that my girlfriend had some black thread. So he came to her. I was there for this conversation. And he asked her, how much will you charge me to buy your spool of thread? Okay, it's out of the kind of randomly out of the blue, so she didn't have really a straight answer or anything ready, so she's like, I don't know, $2, I guess. Oh, he went absolutely fucking livid. I let you live in this house with me in my house. I don't charge you rent, and yada yada yada. You can at least give me a free roll of black thread. He got pissed because he asked that question, and expecting my girlfriend to say, "Oh, just take it." But because that's not what she said, he got furious at her. And not just like got mad at her and just, said some harsh words. He got livid. He like balled his fist. He didn't try to hit her or anything. He like balled his fist and pointed his finger at her and got like she just kicked him in the dick. And that's just one example of him like losing his mind. The time that I don't mean to keep going into a long story about this. I'm so sorry. But I've got to complete the story to get it out. I think I've told Eric the story, so at least he really loved video games. Eric? Oh my God, Eric. That has got to be the most sarcastic line you have ever said to me. Before I keep going, is the stream okay? Are you guys seeing the stream okay and everything? I'm only asking because I'm seeing some frame drops, and my stream over here on my monitor is kind of skipping. Is the stream okay? Okay, stream's fine. Okay, just want to make sure. Probably just my my backup computer then. Nothing to worry about. No, don't apologize, Eric. I was laughing at it because it was it was the most sarcastic line you've ever said, but it's so true. I'll get to that point in a second. Let me get to the other point because it's the story that I was telling you about. When I moved out, it wasn't on great terms with my father. It wasn't. About a week before that, no, not even a week before that, 3 days. 3 days after I had lost my job, I was working at a place in North Dallas. 3 days after I lost my job, he makes an announcement to all 4 people that were living in the house. Well, okay, the other 3 people living in the house, me, my girlfriend, and his girl, whoever that was. We all sat down at the dinner table, and he started the conversation with this. When Joseph was a kid, my name's Joseph, by the way, I just told you what it is. Whatever. When he was a kid, whenever I wanted to sit down to talk, I had to say either you're not in trouble or you are in trouble. Well, right now, everybody at this table is in trouble. I'm like, okay, well, this is great. This should go well. And the short story is, he was mad because there was a blade of grass. A blade of grass. One blade of grass partially hidden underneath a green carpet in the living room. And he was angry because of the other 3 people living in the house. That one piece of grass sat there for 7 days, and he showed me a piece of paper where he had tallied for 7 days each day that piece of grass was there. I wish I could say I was making this up for dramatic effect. This is a conversation that he had with us. This piece of grass had been sitting under this rug for 7 days, and he was mad because none of us picked it up. I really had nothing else to say about that, other than after a certain right after he mentioned that, he decided to go off on his alpha male bullshit again, and he slammed his fist on the table 3 times, scaring the absolute hell out of my girlfriend. So much so that she told me I had to take her somewhere that day. On the way there, she told me she wanted to move out. She was going to leave. In short, she said, I still love you, but I can't live there anymore. I'm going to leave. She was going to leave me. My girlfriend was going to leave me because of him. Because she didn't want to live in that house anymore. And that was when I started. That's when I started the process of moving out. That's when I moved out. That's pretty much, there's a long line of other things that happened. He did a lot of great things. Not going to bullshit. Not going to say he was a terrible father the entire time. He had some great moments. He did, a lot of them. But in my opinion, the negative things that he did does not outweigh them. Does not outweigh them. The only other positive thing that I can say about him is at least he was there with my mom the entire time. I grew up for 20 plus years with two parents. I didn't have a single mom or a single dad. I had two full parents for the entirety of my youth, all the way up until my mom passed in 2007. So, at least I can say he was there, unlike a number of fathers that I know. And let me catch up with with chat now that I'm done ranting. Arguments for lesser men, debates. Yeah, he doesn't do arguments. He doesn't do arguments. He demands he is right. That's just how he is. Father sounds completely insufferable. No dude, you're preaching to the choir, and you can't say anything about my father that's going to hurt my feelings. Trust me, I despise the man. I despise the man. The last time I spoke to him, this is something I don't even think Eric knows. I don't know if I told him this or not. My girlfriend and I were having issues keeping her car running, and it was okay. I had a Kia, and the transmission started acting up on it. He had a spare truck that he wasn't using, so we did a 1-to-1 trade. He took the Kia because he could probably repair the transmission, and he gave me the truck. It was an old green, like 94, I think, Dodge Dakota. So just a little tiny pickup truck. It was fine. It worked for a while, and then it started having a severe oil leak. Well, it was so bad that I actually couldn't drive the car to work. I actually had to I wanted him to come out and fix it. When I told him about it, he said, well, okay, let's just start finding you a new car. I'm like, okay, fine. I really want you to come out and fix it, but fine. And then we started looking at cars, and then out of the blue, during this conversation of looking at cars, he goes, so how many times have I helped you? I'm like, I don't know, quite a few. Why? And then he said something like, he said, how many times have you helped me? I knew with that first question, how many times have I helped you? I knew right then and there where this conversation was going. Right then I knew exactly where this conversation was going. And as soon as he said, how many times have you helped me? I said, don't worry about it, I'll fix the truck myself, and cut the conversation. And into the chat, we were talking over like instant messenger. Close the conversation, and those are literally the last words I've said to him. I'll go fix the truck myself. That's the last I've ever spoken to him. I don't even know if he's still alive. Probably is, because that man won't die. He's had like 2 or 3 strokes in his life. The man can't die. He's been shot. He won't die. So, as the cliche saying goes, if I never speak to him again, it'll be too soon. All right, let me catch up with the chat again. No diss, but at least you love video games. Yeah, we talked about that part. So he knew that for some reason this black thread mattered to her. And he fixated on that. Not specifically that it mattered to her. It's the fact that he wanted something for free instead of him and his girlfriend going out to buy a spool of thread. She already had it. He wanted it from her, so he didn't have to spend any money, and he wanted her to give it to her for free. But he asked the question as expecting her to say free. And when she didn't say free, that's when he got pissed. So it wasn't necessarily the black thread specifically. It could have been anything. It could have been a hanger. It could have been a piece of clothing. Whatever. It doesn't matter what the object was. It was the fact that he wanted it for free from her. And when she didn't offer it for free to him, that's when he got pissed. Only wish that if people are to be dicks, they at least should own it. I'm going to say it makes no sense, but you don't seem to be making it up. I wish I could make it up. It does not make sense. It does not make sense. I have tried my best to try to put myself in his mindset sometimes. I try to be like, okay, if I was in his shoes in that situation, would I have felt the same way? Would his actions, his feelings, his actions, anything that he did, would I do them and therefore validate the reason he said or did any of those things? And I have never been able to say, yes, I would have done those things. I never have. Never have. He caused so much tension in the house. There was, you know the phrase walking on eggshells? The entire floor was constantly eggshells, especially if he was pissed off. My girlfriend, before the one that he yelled at about the black thread, she would come to my hockey games. I know I'm still talking about this. I'm wasting stream time talking about this, but you opened the trigger. You triggered me. You triggered me, Rosen. I'm just kidding. You didn't. I mean, you did, but you didn't do it on purpose. You didn't actually trigger. You opened a bottle that I sometimes have to let out. I regret nothing. Whenever she would come over, she would tell me she could feel the tension in the house. She could cut it with a knife, is what she used to say, because whenever he was there was always tension in the house. And I never really paid attention to it because I was used to it, right? I was acclimated to it. It was what my life was. That tension was always there. Anytime he was gone, when he was off to work or out somewhere else, the house felt fine. The atmosphere in the house with me and my mom was fine. We were in a good mood with each other, always happy. But whenever he came home, you could feel a tension. You could feel the tone of the atmosphere in the entire house just shift when he came home. Even if he came home in a good mood, you could feel tension in the entire house. And I never really noticed it until my girlfriend at the time pointed it out to me. Like, I could cut through the tension with a knife in this house. That's why I don't like coming to visit you. I'd rather you come visit me at my house. So I started doing that more often. That's how he was. But yeah, Eric's right. Eric knows a lot of this story because Eric grew up with me through my early my preteen years, my single digits up to like 9 or 10 years old. And one other story that Eric knows about, he was there for it, obviously. My father manipulated me into stop talking to Eric because my friend Eric was a video gamer. And my father despised video games. So any interest I had in video games, he blamed Eric for. Like he was like influencing me. So, that goes into a whole other conversation. Can't blame the girl. I don't blame her for that. I blame him. And so much so, after I took her to wherever I took her that day, when I got back home, he was still there. And he was about to leave. And I got out of my car and I said, you know what? She's so scared of you that she just wants to leave. And I don't really like snap at him like that, but I did it that day. And you know what he did? And I'm still amazed that he went from that that he went that far. He was wearing it was a sunny day, so he had his sunglasses on. Took his sunglasses off, set them on the side of his car, and started stretching his shoulders. Come on, let's go. He wanted to fucking fist fight me. Because I snapped at him about my girlfriend wanting to leave because of him. He wanted to fucking fist fight me. I'm still amazed at that crap. I'm still amazed to this day every time I think about it. Like, all I did was snap at him and I didn't even yell at him. I just sort of said it with terse words that she wants to leave because she's scared of him now. And he wanted to fight me for it. He wanted to physically get into an altercation for it. And I refused to do it. I refused to fight him. And this is probably the only time I managed to figuratively hit him hard without even using my fist. And let me explain what I mean by that. When he started approaching me, stretching his arms, getting ready to fight, I said, I'm not fighting you. You know why? Because I promised Mom that I wouldn't. And it's true. On one of their last days alive, she had told me, look, I know I'm probably not going to see the rest of your days, and I need you to promise me something. Please don't fight with your father. Please don't. She begged me not to, and I promised her that I wouldn't. And so when he come charging at me with his Navy boxing arms stretching out and everything, no, I'm not doing it because I promised Mom that I wouldn't fight you. And as soon as I said that, he stopped on a dime. His face just changed. You thought I literally shot him in the face. He was just like, he said nothing else. He turned around, put his sunglasses back on, got in his car, and left. Calmly and casually. I had never seen such a huge, almost a bipolar shift in furious anger to absolute shock than that day. And I remember every bit of that to this day. How shocked he was when I told him that. I told him that I refused to fight him because I promised Mom I wouldn't. So, so there's that story. So let me catch up on chat again. Seemed that you moved beyond his weight. Well, you mean beyond his influence? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I grew up without my father too, but he had Parkinson's disease. Good guy. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, I had my parents, so there's been times that I've talked about my father and how much I've been angry at him and hated him and stuff. And there's been people who haven't had one or the other. Usually it's the father that was missing, and they would be like, be glad you at least had a father. And I'm like, I understand. I understand their perspective. I don't sympathize with it because I didn't experience it. But I understand those people who've told me, at least you had a father, be glad for that. And to that extent, I am. But I'm glad I had a father. Am I glad it was him? Not really. Not really. There's been so many times that I've seen myself or seen him in myself. Like I'll see a picture of me, or I'll hear myself talk sometimes, or say a certain thing, and I'll get this like flashback in my head that, oh my God, I really am my father's son. Because he would either say or do those things. And it bothers me when I see that thing happen. I want to be so separate from him that I want to duplicate nothing he does. And so when I sometimes see that in myself, it irks me to no end. So he turned it into a matter of transaction, pretty much. It's difficult to imagine that people so unreasonable exist. You're right. It's sad those kind of people exist. And it isn't just a him thing. That girlfriend that I told you about the girlfriend that got scared of him. Her grandmother was very much the same way, which is why we connected so well. Me and her connected so well. Her grandmother was the same way as he was. She had a manipulative control over her, her and her brother actually. Demanded that she do things a certain way. Whenever her and her brother would go mow the yard, they had a bag on the mower. They had to take the bag like about a quarter mile. They had a huge pasture. They had to take that bag a quarter mile and dump it in like a certain area, and then come back, put it back on the mower, and continue mowing. They couldn't leave grass clippings on the grass. And the only thing that I would say that her grandmother was different than my father about, she was extremely physically abusive. Slapped her, punched her, even tried choking her once. My father, from what I recall, only hit me once. And it's because he was mad because I left a science book at school. That was fourth grade. I remember that. And back in the back seat of my mom's LTD, we were driving home, and my mom was driving the LTD. He was in the back seat with me. I realized I forgot my science book, and he slapped me in the back of the head multiple times so hard that I legitimately, literally peed myself. He literally slapped the piss out of me. Wow, I remember that. It's crazy. For no useful reason, I understand. I imagine that you accept it. Your constant black cloud, yeah. Your father sounds like a total animal. Yeah. What could he stand to gain? That was his. You know, if you could see, like, you know, the evolutionary chart, right, from monkey to human, right? He was like halfway down that evolutionary chart as far as like physically. He, like I said, he was very smart. So I'm not saying he was an idiot or he was a Neanderthal, but his actions were very primal thinking. He always thought physically first. He was, I mean, that may have come from his naval upbringing. He was in the Navy. He was very, very muscular man. One of his muscles was as big as my head. Even though he's only 5'3", he was a huge muscular man. Not gonna bullshit. He was a very muscular man, very, very strong. I have some of his tone. I don't have his muscle mass, but I have some of his tone. There was one time he was working on a car, and he took the air filter out, and instead of getting an air compressor, and blowing out the air filter, he took it and threw it on the ground to knock the dirt out of it. And the way he was standing and throwing the air filter on the ground, he looked like those like National Geographic simulations of a Neanderthal or a caveman trying to throw a rock on another rock and break it. The whole stance, the whole movement and everything, that's exactly what he looked like. It was crazy how he looked so much like that National Geographic caveman. If you're going to hit someone, make sure you hit first and that it sticks. Yeah. How long ago did this take place? Well, let's see. She wasn't living with us that long when this whole blow up happened. She was still 20 and I was 22. She wasn't 21 yet because we all tried going to a bar one time because there were pool tables there. And she couldn't go in because she wasn't 21. So we're talking 22. I would have been 20 in 2005. Yeah, 2005. I would have been 20. So we're talking. Yeah, it's after my mom passed. So 2007, 2008, something like that. So we're roughly 25 years. Or 2000, whatever 2008 is. Whatever 2008 is. Life's too short for anger or hate. Yeah, no reason whatsoever to be a dick for no reason at all. It's better to make friends than foes. The Neanderthals died out because they failed at community management. Hey, Beardley, welcome in. We were just having I was having a flashback to my past. Spending like an inordinate amount of time talking about my father and how displeased I am at his existence. Is this thing charged yet? Well, the light's off. Does that mean it's charged? No, it doesn't really matter. I can't. I gotta plug in the thing to make sure. Whatever. And he was big on that, Rosen. He was big on communication. That was, I mean, that's one of his biggest pet peeves, and it's one of my biggest pet peeves as well. I really hate when, I say something, somehow somebody else misconstrues it or doesn't understand it, and then, then a whole debacle ensues. I really, really, really hate that. Hey, Sudie, welcome in. Good to see you. There was a time. This has nothing to do with my father. This is just a me thing. One of the jobs I was at one time, I was doing like a, what do you call it? When you're comparing paper to notes, reconciliation. I was doing reconciliation. There was like this paper in front of me that had a whole bunch of numbers on it, right? And on the screen, there was a whole bunch of numbers on it as well. It's a lot more complicated than that, but that's the shorthand version. What I had to do is compare the numbers on the paper to the numbers on the screen. If there was a difference in any way, I had to take this information to somebody else and say, hey, these numbers are different. Which one do I take? Okay? That was what my job was in a very simplistic sense. There was one time that the numbers on the paper, when I added them up, they matched the numbers on the paper, but they didn't match the number on the screen. And the circumstances were different. I can't really go into detail why because it's been too long, but the circumstances were different, were unique in this case. So I took this information to the other people and explained, okay, here's step 1, 2, and 3, but with step 3, it's actually different than step 5 says it should be. So this is a unique situation. What should I do? They said, okay, leave it with me and I'll investigate. Fine, did that. Went back and did some more work. They came back with me with that information and they said 1, 2, 3. They said follow steps 1, 2, 3. That told me nothing. I just told you I did steps 1, 2, and 3. And the situation is unique and different. Why did you tell me to do what I already did when that solution didn't work? And again, I know that means nothing to anybody. Nobody's going to get it because I'd have to tell you in detail what that was. You're not going to understand it because unless you're actually working in that environment, those details will be nothing to you. I might as well be speaking in gibberish. And more importantly, I don't remember every detail exactly because it's been 2019 when I moved to Nebraska. So yeah, it's been 5 years since I did that particular job. Okay. All right. I'm so sorry that I spent all that time. Thank you also for coming in here while I was on a rant about my past. I apologize for that long rant. I normally don't do that kind of thing about my own past. I do rant about things in my past sometimes, but it usually doesn't last anywhere near that long, so I apologize. But thank you all for being here. Let's get back to the game once I load it back in because the game even ran out of patience with me. Yeah, the commando. Yeah, you jumped in to watch me play Old Republic, and it turned into a 30-minute bitch fest about my father. Welcome to the stream, Rosen. You know, Suvi, I wish I'd bought some alcohol because I wouldn't mind having a few shots right now. It's been a long time since I've had a drinking stream.
Not even a challenge.
So now that I've boo-hooed about my past, how's y'all's past? How's y'all's relationship with your family, your parents, and so forth? As drunk as a skunk? Man, wish I was. Not maybe not drunk as a skunk. I wouldn't mind being a little buzzed right now, though. Oh well. Is what it is. Wouldn't mind having a nice Sprite and vodka, though. I have Sprite. I have the Sprite. I don't have the other half. I don't have the vodka. I'm better than learn about it in person. Well, I appreciate y'all's understanding. And again, I know that it's not like it's not a terrible situation. There are people and lives that are much worse, had much worse situations. You know, including people that I know personally and even close friends that have had much worse situations throughout their lives, especially recently. I won't mention who or what they were because I haven't gotten permission from them to talk about that on stream. But you know, so and compared to some of those things, I had a breeze of a life. There are always worse situations that does not devaluate your own. I'd like to agree with that, but it's hard for me to. Because I mean, I have a low opinion of myself, so it's easy for me to.
This is too easy.
it's easier to say that's not really that bad, and not agree that that doesn't devaluate it. I mean, each person will roll into themselves. It's definitely very. Are we good again? Why am I dropping so many frames? I haven't thought about this situation in actually quite a while, but, you know, I haven't had the best success with women, especially over the past, like, 5 years. So much so that it has actually made me quite... I don't want to be the old man that is, you know, that hates women, but...
This is too easy.
I'm trying hard not to be, but it's so difficult. It's so difficult, especially with what I've dealt with over the past 5 years. And it's a situation that I haven't thought about in a while. So it's, you know, but I mentioned being in Nebraska. I live in Texas now, and I was born in Texas. Born in Dallas, and lived in Dallas for most of my life. In 2019, I met a girl. Yep, I did. It's how the story starts. Get ready for it. I met a girl, and pretty much fell in love with her. She was, to me, she was gorgeous. I mean, to anybody, she was probably at least somewhat gorgeous. She was actually quite an attractive girl. She was the only woman I'd ever met that actually made me want to have kids of my own, partially because she had her own kid, and I was okay with that. Which before, I never wanted kids, either of my own or somebody else's. She drove down to Dallas to see me for a week. We hung out. We had a fantastic time. I'm not going to lie, I fell in love with her. To an extent, I think she fell in love with me in some way. She even like asked me in not a direct way, but a somewhat indirect way, to move to Nebraska for her, and so we could date, and I could meet her daughter, her 4-year-old daughter. Well, she was 3 at the time. And so I'm like, well, I don't really have a job here that I can't, you know, leave. My job is, you know, it's not. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's somewhat of a niche job, but it's not a job that they can't do without me. I can get another job similar to that in Nebraska, and I did. And so I moved up there. And within, on the way there, even on the way there, things started going bad between her and I. So while we were at on my move up there, we had rented a hotel room at a rather fancy hotel in Kansas, and we spent a week there. And while we were there, while we had a good time, she said that she wasn't ready for a relationship. She just, you know, she said she wasn't ready for a relationship. Well, that's the shorthand of it. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll give you the time. But she still wanted to hang out and, you know, be sexual and, you know, do all the things, but she just didn't want to be like officially an item. Like, okay, fine, I understand. I can be patient, and I was happy to be patient. I mean, hell, I was fixing to move. I just moved 4 states to be with her. I was willing to be patient. And then like a month later, well, 2 weeks later, she had told me she wanted to get back with her baby daddy. And then 2 weeks after that, she started dating a guy that she eventually married. So, she and I have never officially been together. Not as an item. We've had relations. We had relations while she was in her own relationship as well. So she cheated on her boyfriend with me. But we never were officially anything. And, you know, that... I moved 4 states for a girl who asked me to move for her, and then she immediately, you know, replace me with somebody else just because he had money and nice things. Which I'm not making that up. She literally said to me, I love my boyfriend because he has money and nice things. So, you know, needless to say, that really soured my feelings toward women in a very harsh way. Tack on top of that, the girl that I talked about before that was scared of my father, we were together for 11 years. So, I mean, we didn't get married, but we were basically supposed to get to marriage. We were living together, and for nearly 11 years. And when we broke up,
Too easy.
we were working at the same place, and we used one car to drive there. So it was like we worked a weekend shift. We worked Friday through Tuesday, so we had Wednesday and Thursday off. Well, that Friday she said she wasn't feeling good, so she didn't want to go to work. So it's like, that's fine. She called out, and I went into work. Let me back up a step before that. About 10 days earlier, her mother had passed away from cancer. And she was very down in the dumps. She was very close to her mom. Her mom was living with us when she passed. So she was very close to her. And so she was down in the dumps and really quiet and kind of kept to herself a lot of time. And, you know, I understood that. I understood that. So I let her be. I was supportive when she wanted, like, if she needed a shoulder to cry on, whatever. I was there to support her, but I knew that it wasn't really. It was out of her character, but I understood why, so I didn't think anything of it. But she was like kind of distant and quiet for those like 2.5 weeks or so. Don't worry, I'm not ignoring chat. I'll answer your questions in a sec, or comment to your chat in a second. I just want to finish my story before I forget it. So I went to work that day, came home, you know, we just kind of, again, she was still kind of down and quiet and kept to herself. And she stayed in the bedroom most of the day after I got home. She stayed in bed most of the day after I got home. And then when I went to bed, you know, I just checked on her and said she was okay and whatever. Alarm went off for the next morning. I woke up and said, hey, how you feeling? Do you feel like going to work? She said, no, I'm going to be packing up a few things, and someone is coming to get me, and I'm going to South Texas. No argument, no conversation, no fight, no I cheated on her, she cheated on me, no nothing. Just suddenly, she's gone. She wanted to leave. I was so stunned by this sudden information that I didn't even think to ask her why. That's how shocked I was. I didn't even ask her why. And and so I was like, okay. I got dressed, got ready for work. I went to work, came home, and just like she said, she was gone, and so were our 2 cats, and some of her clothes were gone. Just like that.
This is too easy.
So, you know, tack on that abandonment, essentially, with the way I was abandoned by the girl in Nebraska, and what the hell's blocking me from walking here? It's like something supposedly here. I can't walk by it. That's weird. Visible wall. So, those 2 things have made me very gun-shy, if you will, of women. Let me catch up to chat now. Nobody knows yourself as well as you do, yeah. Visually President, you're a pretty cool lad. I appreciate that, thank you. Initially, whatever you do, never forget contraceptives, yeah. Yeah, that's never been a problem. Who was the greater fool in this case? You or her? Yeah, I am aware. I am very self-aware that we knew each other. We started talking. Here's the scary part of this. It was scary to me. It may not be much to anybody else. when I met the Nebraskan girl, we started talking literally 1 year and 1 day after my girlfriend of 11 years left. So exactly 366 days after she left, this other girl started talking to me. This Nebraskan girl, she and I started talking. And at first it was just supposed to be like a collaboration thing because she was a YouTuber. I was still doing just YouTube at the time. I wasn't a streamer. And we were going to do like a collaboration of Borderlands together. Borderlands 2, I think it was. And we started chatting, and through her conversation with me, I found her attractive, don't get me wrong. I knew what she looked like because I had seen her YouTube page. But I didn't think anything of it. I just thought it was strictly a conversation about collaborating on the stream or collaborating on YouTube. But she started like instigating a little more personal, romantic conversations, and I realized that she liked me. So that's when that started evolving into more than just collaborating about YouTube.
This is too easy.
And that was in July of 2019. I don't know why I clicked on that guy. And then she came down to see me in August, and I moved to Nebraska in October. So from August to October, we talked pretty much every day all the time. And saw each other once, well, actually twice. Once when she came down, and then when I decided to move and go get a job in Nebraska, I drove up to Nebraska to see the apartment that I was going to move to, and to speak to my potential employer, to my employer up there, so I could get an idea of what my job was going to be. So we saw each other twice in person before I actually completely moved up there. So in a matter of July, August, September, October, when I finally moved, so 3 months. Is that enough time to really consider moving 4 states for somebody? Most likely, probably not. But I did just spend, like I said, a year by myself, alone, no relationships, no dates. She was the first any kind of intimate contact whatsoever. So I kind of jumped on it, and she was a very attractive woman, like I said. I was definitely hitting out of my league, or whatever the saying is. So I felt that if I hesitated or waited too long, I would miss out on the opportunity. She would, considering we were 4 states apart, she probably wasn't going to be into doing a long distance relationship for very long. I figured I need to move closer to her.
And stay down.
But it still didn't matter. So who's the bigger foolish, me or her? Definitely me, no doubt. Now, she treated me poorly. I mean, somebody moves 4 states for you because 4 states over for you because you asked them to, and yet you,
Not even a challenge.
at the least, you just tease them about a relationship more than once, even saying that I would make a great father, hinting that she wanted me to be her father, her next kid's father, because she wanted more kids. A lot of that's on her. But
Report your ailments.
she treated me poorly, but who's the fool? Yeah, definitely me.
You are
Definitely
fit for duty. Return to your post.
me. Land lives on these little men. That's very true. How far is Fort America? I drove 700 miles. It was a 700-mile one-way drive. Dallas to I moved to Omaha, Nebraska, which was a 700-mile trip. Like 720 or something like that. It was 700 and some change. So whatever 700 miles is in kilometers, you might have to do some translation math. But I drove 700 miles.
Stand by for
I actually did it 3 times because, like I said, before I actually moved up there, I had to go see my new potential employer. So I drove up to Nebraska. So I drove 700 miles up there to see them and spend some time with her over Labor Day weekend. That was Labor Day weekend in September. And then I drove back to Dallas to pack up and get ready and everything. And then another 700 miles to move up there. Which again, I didn't have a problem with
You
the
are fit for
time
duty. Return to your
because
post.
she had just driven 700 miles down to see me. She drove 700 miles to see me first.